You ever hear someone talk and immediately think, this guy doesn't even believe his own words? You know the type. Weak tone, shaky voice, talking like they're asking permission to exist rather than stating a fact. That kind of speech is like showing up to a battlefield without a sword. It's pathetic, it's weak, and worst of all, it's self-inflicted. Your voice, your words, how you project them. That's not just communication, that's your fucking presence. It's your power. When you open your mouth, you're either commanding the room or getting ignored in it. And let me tell you something. The world does not wait for you to get comfortable. Nobody is sitting around hoping you find your voice one day. If you speak like a guy who doesn't trust his own words, people will pick up on that instantly. Humans are animals. They smell weakness. You ever see a lion hesitate before roaring? No, because that's not how dominance works. But here's the real kicker. Weak speech doesn't just make you sound like a loser, it turns you into one. It rewires your fucking brain to think, maybe I'm not that important, and once you start thinking like that, it's game over. Because the moment your mind starts playing tricks on you, convincing you that your words don't carry weight, you start losing in ways you don't even realize. You start hesitating, not just in speech, but in life. Suddenly, you're second-guessing yourself in business, relationships, everything. And let's be brutally honest. Do you think a guy with weak speech gets taken seriously? Picture two men walking into a meeting. One of them speaks with clarity, force, and certainty, like every word he says is law. The other one mumbles his way through, voice barely above a whisper, apologizing for existing. Who the f do you think is walking out with the deal? Who's getting respected? Who's getting steamrolled? You might be sitting there thinking, but Tate, I just don't have a naturally deep or loud voice. That's bullshit. Confidence isn't about pitch. It's about presence. You don't have to sound like fucking Darth Vader, but you better make damn sure that when you talk, people know you mean business. That comes from deliberate speech, certainty, and energy. You ever notice how powerful people talk? They don't rush their words. They don't cram in useless shit to fill silence. They let their words land. They let them hang in the air because they know that power isn't in just talking. It's in the weight behind what they say. When you speak weakly, you rob yourself of that. You dilute your presence. And then you wonder why no one respects you. And let's be honest, respect isn't given, it's fucking taken. If you don't own your words, people will talk over you. They will dismiss you. They will treat you like an afterthought because that's exactly what your speech tells them you are. So next time you open your mouth, don't speak like some half-assed, uncertain, apologetic little boy. Speak like a man who knows his value. Speak like someone who expects to be listened to, not someone hoping to be. Because in this world, the weak get drowned out. The strong get heard. Choose which one you want to be. You ever notice how the world bends over backwards for a guy who acts like he runs the place? Not the smartest guy, not the most skilled, but the guy who projects certainty like it's built into his DNA? That's because confidence isn't a fucking request, it's a declaration. You don't ask for people to see you as confident. You don't wait for someone to validate you. You project it. You decide it. And weak speech? That shti is a giant neon sign that says, I don't believe in myself, so why should you? You can wear the best suit in the world, drive the flashiest car, have a bank account that makes people's jaws drop. None of that means shticked. If your voice tells the world you're unsure of yourself. People don't respect uncertainty. They don't follow someone who sounds like they're apologizing for existing. And don't give me that, oh, but I don't want to come off as arrogant. Fuck that. Confidence isn't arrogance. It's competence. Realize. Ever been in a conversation where someone starts their sentence strong, but then their voice shrinks halfway through? Like they're suddenly scared of their own words? That's the difference between someone who commands attention and someone who begs for it. One guy gets remembered. The other, he gets tuned out, like background noise at a coffee shop. Let me tell you something about human nature. People are lazy. They don't want to figure you out. They don't want to decode your energy. They just react to what you put out. If your voice is weak, hesitant, or shaky, their brain automatically assumes you're not worth listening to. It's subconscious. They won't even realize they're doing it. That's how powerful presence is. That's how powerful certainty is. And don't think for a second that people will give you confidence. That's the biggest lie weak men tell themselves. Oh, if people just respected me more, I'd be more confident. No, dumbass, it's the other way around. You get respect because you carry yourself like you already fucking deserve it. You ever see a successful man in a room full of nobodies? He owns that space before he even speaks. His energy says, I don't need validation, I am validation. He's not waiting for the room to tell him he's important, he already knows he is. Meanwhile, the weak guy in the corner is mentally drafting his sentences, scared to say the wrong thing, terrified of being judged. You think that guy gets respect? You think that guy gets opportunities? Fuck no, he gets dismissed. Because the world doesn't stop for the unsure. And let's be honest, how you speak is a reflection of how you live. If your voice is timid, your mindset is timid. If you're hesitant in your words, you're hesitant in your actions. Confidence isn't just something you switch on when you need it. It's who you are. And people can tell when it's fake. You can't trick the world into respecting you if you don't even respect your own damn voice. So stop thinking confidence is something you have to earn. Confidence isn't a reward, it's a fucking choice. You don't wait for people to give you permission to speak with certainty. You don't hope to be taken seriously. You make it happen. And that starts with owning your words like they're law. Because in this world, the guy who speaks with authority gets listened to. The guy who doesn't, he gets ignored. Simple as that. And this is where most people completely fuck themselves over. They hesitate. They get caught in their own head, overthinking every word, every sentence, every fucking syllable, like the whole world is sitting around with a scorecard ready to judge them. You think anyone gives a shit about your little internal debate? No. They don't even notice you exist if you don't own the moment. Hesitation is the fastest way to destroy your credibility. The second you stutter, the second you fumble over your words, the second you start filling the silence with weak, pathetic little fillers like, you might as well wave a big ass flag that says, I don't believe in what I'm saying. And if you don't believe it, why the fuck should anyone else? Confidence isn't just about what you say, it's about how you say it, the delivery, the certainty. You think the greatest men in history sat there second guessing themselves before speaking? Oh, maybe I shouldn't say it this way. Maybe I should adjust my tone. Maybe I should soften the message so I don't offend anyone. No, they said what the fuck they meant and let the world deal with it. People respect conviction. People respect a man who knows what he's saying and says it with his chest. But what do they do with a guy who hesitates? A guy who sounds like he's trying to convince himself of his own words. They tune him out. They talk over him. They ignore him because hesitation signals weakness. It shows a lack of certainty, a lack of belief in your own voice. And when you hesitate, you give people the green light to question you, to doubt you, to see you as less than them. And once that happens, good luck clawing your way back to respect. Imagine a guy trying to negotiate a deal and he starts with, I think this might be like a good opportunity. You know what happens next? The other guy steamrolls him. He smells blood in the water and dominates the conversation. Because the moment you show weakness in your speech, you're prey. Now, picture a guy who walks in and states his words like they're law. No fluff, no uncertainty, just straight facts. He doesn't give the other guy a chance to question him because he speaks like a man who is unquestionable. That's the guy who wins. That's the guy who walks away with the deal, the respect, the power. And don't think for a second that you can fake this. People have bullshit detectors built into their brains. They can tell when you're unsure. They can tell when you're trying to convince yourself of something. Your voice betrays you. Your energy betrays you. So stop hesitating. Stop doubting your own words. Speak like a man who knows he's right. Because the second you hesitate, you lose. And in this world, losers get forgotten. And here's where most men completely fuck up. They assume words alone carry weight. They think just saying the right thing is enough to get them respect, admiration, authority. Newsflash, it's not. Your words mean jack, shticked, if your tone and delivery sound like you don't even believe them yourself. You ever hear someone speak and immediately feel bored? Their voice is flat, lifeless, dragging on like they're reading a fucking instruction manual? That's because they have zero energy, no weight, no force behind their words. They're just vibrating air molecules like every other person, hoping to be heard, but doing absolutely nothing to earn that attention. And you know what happens when you talk like that? People tune you out. It doesn't matter if what you're saying is life-changing wisdom. If you sound like a weak, uninspired, monotone drone, nobody gives a shit. Compare that to a man who commands attention. When he speaks, people shut up and listen. Why? Because he's not just saying words, he's making you feel them. He's speaking with conviction, with rhythm, with power. Every syllable lands. Every pause is deliberate. Every word is a fucking hammer driving his point home. Let me put it this way. If your voice was a weapon, most of you would be swinging a goddamn butter knife. Weak, dull, ineffective. But a man who understands delivery, he's wielding a fucking battle axe. He's slicing through the noise, making an impact. That's the difference. And let's be real, tone communicates more than the words themselves. You can say, I'm confident in a weak, timid little voice, and it sounds like a lie. Or you can say the same two words with power, with certainty, and people will believe it without question. It's not about what you say, it's about how you say it. Let's take another example. You ask a guy what he does, and he says, I kind of run a business. Boom. Lost all credibility. Nobody cares anymore. But another guy says, I run a business. Straight, strong, clear, no fluff, no hesitation, just fact. And instantly, he's taken seriously. Because energy is contagious. When you sound certain, you make others certain. When you sound weak, you invite doubt. And in this world, doubt is a fucking disease. It spreads fast and kills your influence. Look at the men people admire, the ones who command rooms, who inspire action, who own every conversation they step into. You think they're up there mumbling, whispering, sounding unsure of themselves? Fuck no. They talk like kings, and the world treats them as such. So fix your delivery. Stop speaking like you're hoping to be heard and start speaking like you demand to be. Because the truth is, if your voice doesn't carry weight, your words never will. And this is the part where most men completely fail themselves. They speak without purpose. They run their mouths, spewing meaningless shht just to fill silence. And then wonder why nobody gives a fuck about what they have to say. Words are like bullets. Every single one needs to be aimed with precision. You think a sniper just fires randomly hoping to hit something? No, he waits. He positions himself. He makes every shot count. That's how you need to speak. Because the second you start rambling, throwing in useless fluff, watering down your message with weak, pointless filler, you lose. Weak men talk just to talk. Strong men talk to win. And let me tell you why this matters. Because when you speak with purpose, people feel it. They can tell you mean every damn word. They can tell you're not just talking to hear yourself, but because your words have weight. But the moment you start waffling, second-guessing, stretching out your sentences just to keep a conversation going, you start looking like a man who doesn't know what he wants. And a man who doesn't know what he wants is a man who gets nowhere in life. Let's break it down even further. You ever meet someone who talks in circles? They say the same thing 10 different ways, afraid to just say what they fucking mean? It's because they're scared of silence. Scared that if they stop talking, people will lose interest. Newsflash! People already lost interest the moment they sensed you had nothing valuable to say. Now, picture someone who speaks with peak pace. Short, sharp, direct. Every word lands. Every sentence matters. That's the guy people remember. That's the guy who walks away from a conversation with respect, deals, opportunities. Because let's be real, nobody has time for meaningless chatter. You think successful men sit around listening to weak, drawn-out sentences full of nothing? No. They listen to the man who gets to the fucking point. And don't confuse this with being rude or cutting people off. This is about precision. It's about knowing when to speak, how to speak, and when to shut the fuck up so that when you do talk, people listen. So stop wasting words. Stop watering down your message. Stop filling the air with useless shit just to feel like you're contributing. Speak with paper, or don't speak at all, because in this world, the man who wastes words wastes opportunities. And I don't know about you, but I don't waste a damn thing. If you've been speaking like a mouse, don't be surprised when the world treats you like one. Energy, real, raw energy, makes the world notice you. A weak, monotone voice doesn't command respect. It's like a leaf blowing in the wind. No one gives a shit. They ignore it. You want to be noticed? You need to speak with purpose, energy, and presence. This isn't just about the words you say. It's about how you say them. Low energy equals low influence, my friend. If you've been dragging your feet through life, speaking like you've got the weight of the world on your shoulders, guess what? People see you as that, the one who's defeated before the fight even starts. You're a spectator in your own life, and guess who's watching you? Other weak people. People who are looking for an excuse not to take action, not to lead, not to seize what's theirs. And when they see you talking like a sheep, they feel better about their own miserable existence. Raise your voice. And I don't mean just making noise like some idiot trying to be heard over a crowd. I mean raising your presence. Stand up tall, project your voice, and make sure the whole damn room knows you're here. Command the space around you. The energy you bring will either attract or repel. Make sure it attracts power, not pity. Low energy people don't even realize they're doing it. They think they're being humble or modest or whatever the hell excuse they're using today. But let's be real. Humility is not about sounding defeated. It's not about whispering your way through life like some introvert who's afraid of being seen. Humility is about having the confidence to speak up when necessary, to take up space, to make your point without hesitation. This is not about screaming in people's faces or being obnoxious. It's about knowing that when you open your mouth, people should listen. It's about having the kind of energy that makes others lean in because they know you have something worth saying. When you speak with confidence, people lean in. When you speak like a frightened puppy, people just tune out. Energy also means consistency. Don't switch between, hey guys, I'm here, and maybe I could help you with that. Pick a damn lane. Energy isn't about occasional bursts of enthusiasm or acting like a psycho for 5 minutes to make people believe you're someone special. No, it's about consistently showing up with power, with force. You need to be that guy who is always switched on, always ready, always leading. You don't get to turn it on when it's convenient and off when it's not. That's weak shit. And don't think you can fake it either. Fake energy, fake confidence, fake anything. People smell that shit from miles away. You need to believe in your own energy, in your own power. You can't half-ass this. This is all in or nothing. Either you're a force that people respect or you're another face in the crowd. It's that simple. If you've got no energy, guess what? You've got no impact. You're a ghost. Just another person with a bunch of opinions no one gives a damn about. Look around. The world is full of people with good ideas. But ideas are nothing without the ability to push them out into the world. If you can't bring the energy to back up those ideas, they're just words in your head. The world doesn't hear them, they don't feel them, and ultimately, they don't give a damn. You need to channel that fire that makes people listen, that makes them take notice. And if you're not willing to show up with that fire, why the hell should anyone care? I'm not saying be loud for the sake of being loud. I'm saying speak with purpose. Speak with meaning. Speak like you've got something to say and that everyone else in the room is there to hear it. If you speak like you're timid, like you're unsure about your place in the world, that's exactly how people will treat you, as a timid, unsure person. And let me tell you something, no one respects someone they don't see as capable. It's not about being the loudest in the room, it's about being the one who commands attention when they open their mouth. A loudmouth can just as easily be ignored, but someone who speaks with confidence, people stop what they're doing. They listen. They respect. Think about this for a second. Have you ever noticed how certain people walk into a room and instantly make an impact? You don't know why or how, but they do. It's not magic. It's not luck. It's energy. It's the way they move, the way they speak, the way they command their space. They don't whisper. They don't hesitate. They own their presence, and in doing so, they take ownership of their reality. So ask yourself, when you speak, do people lean in or do they start looking for the door? Are you taking up space or are you shrinking back? The voice you use says everything about your life. If you don't believe in what you're saying, why should anyone else? If you can't back yourself up with energy, who the hell is going to back you up? Speak with power or don't speak at all. The world is full of noise, but it's the powerful, consistent voices that cut through that noise and leave an impact. If you're not ready to bring that level of energy, then you're just another ghost, talking to yourself in an empty room. Do better. Speak like you matter. Speak like you own the space. Because if you don't, you're already invisible. It's incredible how many people think they can just breeze through life and somehow, by some miracle, be successful, respected, or get what they want. They sit there waiting for approval like a dog begging for a treat. It's sad, really. They want the world to give them permission to exist, to take up space, to be confident, and to show their worth. Guess what? The world doesn't give a shit about your need for validation. Nobody cares whether you feel like you're enough or not. That's your problem. But what you can control is how you show up and how you own your words. If you're still the type of person who's trying to get others to say good job or that's a good idea just to feel like you matter, you're already losing. Stop seeking approval for your opinions, your thoughts, your voice. Why do you need someone else to give you the green light to speak up? Why do you need someone to tell you that your opinions are valid? You want the world to take you seriously? Then stop asking for permission and start acting like you've already earned it. Here's the hard truth. When you're constantly worried about what others think of your words, you're letting them control your reality. You're giving away your power to anyone and everyone who's willing to nod along and give you a pat on the back. When you speak with hesitation, when you qualify everything you say with, I think, or I'm not sure, you're putting yourself in a weak, submissive position. You're telling the world that you don't believe in your own thoughts, your own ideas, your own worth. You're inviting people to second guess you, to dismiss you, and to ignore you. Nobody wants to follow someone who can't even trust their own voice. Imagine this. If you speak to your friends or family and you're always saying, I think, or I'm not sure, do you think they're going to follow your lead? Do you think they're going to respect you? Hell no. They'll start to see you as someone who lacks conviction, who doubts themselves at every turn. People follow leaders, not followers. Leaders don't ask for permission, they take it. They speak with certainty and boldness, even when they're unsure. Why? Because they've learned to own their words, to speak with intention, and the people around them can feel it, they can sense it, and they naturally follow. If you want to stop looking like a lost puppy, start owning your opinions. Stop hedging your speech. Stop asking for approval. The moment you say, I think, or I'm not sure, you're saying, hey, I'm still figuring this out, so don't judge me too harshly. You're softening the blow of your own words in the hope that someone will stroke your ego and tell you that it's okay to speak up. But guess what? Real confidence doesn't need permission. It doesn't need validation from others to feel worthy. You need to stop apologizing for your thoughts and opinions. Start speaking like someone who believes in what they're saying. And when you start doing that, people will start to respect you, not because you're asking for it, but because you're showing it in the way you speak. Think about the most successful people you admire, whether it's in business, sports, or entertainment. What do they all have in common? One thing is clear. They own their words. They don't apologize for their thoughts. When they speak, they make people stop and listen. They don't give a damn if someone disagrees. They don't hedge their speech. They don't apologize for their opinions. They command respect. Their confidence doesn't need validation from the crowd. It's unshakable. And let me tell you something. You can't fake this. You can't just talk a big game and expect people to believe it. You can't act like a leader, pretending you have your shit together when deep down you're just trying to get through the day without anyone noticing. You're a fraud. You've got to believe in your words, own them, take responsibility for them, and the more you own your speech, the more people will take you seriously. They'll start to see that you're someone who knows exactly what they want and that they'd better start paying attention to you because you're about to take what's yours. Here's the secret. When you stop caring about approval, that's when you start to command it. Stop begging for someone's stamp of approval because you've already got it from the one person who matters, you. You've already given yourself the permission to speak, to take up space, and to express your opinions like they mean something. Own your voice and the world will follow. When you give off that energy, people will start respecting you for who you are, not who they think you need to be. So cut out the "I think" or "I'm not sure" bullshit. Those phrases are weak as hell. They're like putting a warning label on your thoughts. You're essentially telling people that you're uncertain and that they're allowed to question your judgment. You want them to second guess you? You want them to treat your words as if they're worth less? Then keep using those phrases. But if you want to be seen as someone who speaks with authority, who commands respect, and who is confident in their own thoughts, then stop qualifying everything you say. Start saying what you mean and mean what you say. Now, I know there's this tendency to want to soften your words, to make sure everyone's okay with what you're saying. It's human nature to want to be liked, to be accepted, and to not upset people. But if you're too focused on making everyone happy, you'll never get what you want. Life doesn't care about your feelings. Life is about results. And results come from taking action. Results come from people trusting you. And people don't trust someone who's always second-guessing themselves. They trust the person who speaks up, who takes a stand, who owns their words without asking for permission. If you want to make an impact, if you want to be respected and followed, start speaking like you already know you've got it figured out. Own your words and stop worrying about the approval of others, because at the end of the day, if you can't trust your own voice, why should anyone else?